All right, and we are live. Welcome to another session of the Create Your New Life Real Estate Training powered by Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. We do it every week on Thursday at 11:30. Just an opportunity for us to get together, talk about some topics, run through some what's going on in the city, kind of run through some company business. It's just a great time for us to get together. So, without further ado, we will start. The Okay, so I named this one. Uh, it's the final lap, final wrap race. I hear myself twice. Hold on, guys. I don't like when I hear myself twice. Okay, all right. Now I'm not hearing myself twice anymore. Okay, so I called this one. It's the final lap of the final race. Go for the gold, and I did that in honor of the 2016 Olympics starting on Friday. So I thought it'd be cool if I named it based off of the facts we're going to have the Olympics starting here pretty soon. But it fit right in on uh, the uh, where we are, or the importance of where we are rounding out this third quarter, going into the fourth quarter. So it's the final lap. For those that enjoy a good track race during the Olympics, you have to make it through the preliminary heats. Make it through the semifinals to get to the actual final, to where you can be one of the ones that are going to be running for the medal. So you've made it through the preliminaries, the first and second quarter. You've made it through the preliminaries. You've gained the wherewithal to make it to the final race. So now, since you're there, since you're that one of those 8 individuals, why not run for the gold? Take it all. So that's where we are right now, when we're talking about these last 60 days and what you should be doing, what you should be focused on, and what you should be working on. So we're going to continue that conversation here today, and we're just going to keep it going. I want to welcome all those that are not necessarily Brooks and Davis agents, that are just kind of viewing us offline. We're always, again, looking to bring on talented individuals to be a part of the organization. I'm constantly inviting people to our trainings, constantly inviting them to our events. I think we're doing great things over here at Brooks and Davis, and we want to continue to expose that. I mean, because again, our goal is to get to 50 agents by the end of the year. Right now, we're sitting at 36. We've met with about 2 or 3 people over the week. We're going to talk about the realtor rally that we're doing to get our agents involved, take part in that as well. But our co-founder, Mr. Brooks, is ready to have a sit down with anybody about their future and seeing if we can help get you there and help develop you. For my agents that are actually on the training, on the call, at any point, stop me. You want to engage, you want to ask questions, you can do that through the chat, the group chat. I do have that up, and you can also do that through just unmuting your phone, and we get into the dialogue. So I really appreciate the dialogue. I encourage the dialogue, and I want you all to take part in that. Okay, so where we always start. Oh, and before I get started, I got to give a shout out. Shout out to, I believe is their number one. I'm their number one fan. Want to give a shout out to my son, my mini me, Michael G. Davis Jr. He's turning the big number of 5. Today is his day. That's my man. So I absolutely want to give my man a shout out on his birthday. On our Create Your New Life training. So shout out to my little man, my mini me, Michael G. Davis Jr. Okay, now production. Let's look at it. Let's look at production. So as of today, right now we have about $4 million of production on the board. We are knocking a lot of stuff off. Like I said, our high point was 5.6 million, and I know that was less than 45 days ago. So we've taken a lot of production off the board. We've gotten a lot of commission checks that have come in, and in an ideal world, I would want the same. I would want more production getting added to the board, then that's getting taken off. But we're not there yet, but I know we can get there. So I need you guys to be fighting hard to get hired, get people under contract, so you can get it to the board and get me the numbers. So I want this number to be increasing every week, not decreasing. Now, yeah, it's good to have closings every week, and that's good as well. But what I really want is that every week I want us to be adding 1 to 2 contracts. Buyers, buyers, sellers, fully executed, signed by the buyer and the seller. I want to be adding fully executed contracts, 1 to 2 of them per week, as we continue through these last 60 days, rounding out the quarter. As far as our top 5 as of today, so the only adjustment, it looks like Brina and Juliana are kind of playing hopscotch with that number 5 spot. Carol's still holding the number 1, followed by Kim. Then we have Ricardo Davis, Miss Stubblefield, who's sitting solid on number 4. And then this week, Brina Fairbanks is in the number 5 spot. Now, remember, any week that can change. You get something under contract, because this is based on production, not transaction count. So if anybody got $1 million contract next week, they would instantaneously be number 1. So, everybody has an opportunity to not only get into number 5, but everybody has an opportunity to be number 1 every single week. Every single week, everybody has that opportunity. So why not shoot for it? Why not go for the gold? Go for the gold. Okay. Home seller workshop. So it's been an extremely exciting week. I don't know about you all, and I hope you were taking my advice on what I've given you over the last couple of weeks about this workshop and how to use this tool. I had a conversation with April today. I mean, not today. I think it was yesterday. And what I told her was that, yeah, it's good to have attendees at the workshop. You want to expose it and you want to have people there. But the beauty in events is not necessarily who attends, it's the activity around the marketing of the event. So I'll give an example. Yeah, you want to get the leads from the home seller workshop, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. What I'm saying is that the activities of the phone calls, the door knocking, the email blasts, the social media, those activities is what you should also get leads from just making the phone call. From you calling your past client and saying, hey, you're one of my VIPs, I want to invite you to a workshop that we're having on Saturday. Do you know anybody that's interested in that's considering selling their home? They may say yes, they may say no. You know anybody that's interested in, attending the event? They may say yes, they may say no. Okay, but then before you let them go, before I let you go, do you know anybody that's looking to buy a house? You know anybody that's looking to invest in real estate that I may can call? So now you have a strong opportunity for that person to give you a lead and it not seem or not give them the perception as if you're a nuisance or you're bothering them or anything like that. You truly call them, you want to let them know about an event, so you make them feel special. Because you're my past client, in our script, when I had April and a couple of the team agents calling people, in our script we put, because you've done a transaction with us in the past, because these were our past clients, you're one of our VIPs, right? So we call them our VIP, and because you're our VIP, we're giving you a personal phone call to invite you to this event. All right, so now you're making them feel special. Then you go in and you ask for the lead. So it makes the atmosphere a lot more easier and a lot more comforting, because a lot of the reason why people don't lead generate is because they're afraid of rejection. They don't want to feel like they're being a bother. Now, these are people that they've done business with. So, but even with that, that's how people feel. So but everybody wants to feel important. Everybody wants to feel special. So you lead out and say, the reason I'm calling you is because you're special. I'm telling you about this event. Do you know anybody that I can help? So you're making the ask. and it kind of levels the field. So now I hope you all took my advice and you've been banging out the phones, calling for sell by owners, calling your past clients, going and knocking on doors. I mean, this is ideal. And I put this in the group me last week when I sent it out again. Make copies of the flyer. And go knock on for sale by owners' doors. Pull up Zillow. Zillow will give you the sale by owners and their addresses. Pull up the expireds and HAR. You got the address if it's an expired listing. Just drive out there, man. Set you a goal to drive. It doesn't even have to be a huge goal. Say, I'm going to go to one expired every day. So at least, if you'd have started last week, that would have been at least 14 expireds whose doors you would have knocked on. If you want to be really aggressive, do 2 or 3. I'm saying the sky's the limit, but you got to be doing something, and you had the resource and the opportunity to do it. So now it's coming in a couple of days. Hey, you can go in, and you still have some time, and use it as an opportunity to get some strong lead generation in before we have the event. Okay, next thing, our stuffing party. So again, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with that because I kind of went into a lot of detail with the sellers workshop. But again, the stuffing party, we're having that on Thursday, August 25th. It's going to be at 2 o'clock. So our goal is to have, some light bites, a couple of, glasses of wine after we do the work, and just kind of relax, as well as, put ourselves in a position or an opportunity to make money, to increase our income. So we're having that coming on the 25th. The Realtor Recruitment Rally. So I talked to you guys about this last week. So we just launched it. We launched it August 1st. And we're going to be doing this rally, I know, until we reach our goal. So, once we hit our 50, hey, we may not offer this opportunity to agents anymore. But I know until we reach that, we're going to be pushing and really encouraging you guys to take part in the Realtor Recruitment Rally. And that's where you refer somebody to Brooks and Davis. If you like, what we have to offer, if you like, the value that you've received through being associated with myself, being associated with Mr. Brooks, through our trainings, through our events, if we're just really helping you, ultimately be successful in this business, then by all means, tell other agents, tell other people that may be considering making a move, that may be looking at joining another firm, let them know. And if they successfully sign up with us, then because you referred us, because you went out there and you became our billboard, then you get a 5% override of the production of not only all the agents that you recommend, but of all the production that they do. So, I mean, it puts you in a good spot to where you can get you some mailbox money, it's now made you a broker, right? You're able to kind of see the benefits of being a broker, of helping people, develop people, and then you being able to reap the benefits of the work that they're putting in based off of how you've helped them. So I really encourage, you all, again, we're at 36 agents, so we got 14 to go. Brooks is meeting with people, but it's just as simple as, reaching out to them, if you know that they're considering the firm, and letting them know, I think it would be good for you to sit down with Mr. Brooks, see what they have to offer, and then just let us know here at the office, and we can set the appointment with Mr. Brooks for him to sit down with him. And, you all have met Mr. Brooks, so he's a closer. So we just got to give him the opportunities to where he can get in front of people, expose what we have to offer as an organization, and then he go in and he close them, and then we grow our family like that. So that kind of deals with, and again, I want to reiterate, the easiest, in my eyes, the easiest way to recruit is really, you can go in for a hard sell and say, hey, sit down with my broker, but it may be something as simple as, hey, take a look at this weekly training. You guys have access to all of the trainings that we've done. So you can send a direct link from your 7-Dot training folder of a past training that we've done. You can send that link to those individuals. You can invite them to the event. Hey, invite them to the seller workshop. Invite them to the stuffing party, right? Again, we're gonna put in some work. We're gonna stuff, and you as a Brooks and Davis agent is the only one that's gonna be in a position to get any of those leads. But I buy them a glass of wine. They come to the stuffing party. Brooks will buy them an hors d'oeuvre or something, and just to expose them to the family. So invite them to the events that we're having. That's the easiest way to recruit. It doesn't have to be one of those hard type of sales things that we see on the movies and that kind of stuff. We do, in my opinion, salesmanship is all about just providing value and exposing the fact that you have value to offer to somebody, and then that person makes a decision on if they need what you have or if they don't need what you have, and it's just as simple as that. And I think salesmanship is an art, and I mean I really enjoy it. Like, I enjoy being a salesman. I think it's a great line of work. I really do. So, and I hope you all feel the same way. Okay, so what's next? So I wanted to. I know I hadn't done this in a while. Look at something that was coming down the pipeline and just really kind of did a commentary around it. But I was reading. This is a magazine that I hadn't really kind of pushed. I tell you all about the RIS Media, which is a national magazine. Tell you about the Realtor magazine, which is national. I'll tell you about the Texas Realtor magazine and the Houston Realtor magazines, which gives you a local snapshot. But I know you all are familiar about the Texas A&M Real Estate Center, because I know when you're taking your classes and even on the test, they speak about that organization. But I don't know if you've ever really looked into it. I know a former chief economist, Ted C. Jones. He's a former chief economist for the Texas A&M Real Estate Center. He's actually going to be the presenter at the Houston Black Real Estate Association's Lunch and Learn on the 18th. So I'll probably be telling you guys, sending information out about that on next week. But he's a former chief economist. Well, I was reading their magazine, Tierra Grande, and they send that magazine out once a quarter. So they send 4 of those out a year. So I was reading the October 2015 installment, and they had an article in there that spoke about the profitability of Texas homes, and I thought it was a real solid article. So let's talk about that for a little bit before we get into our training and our recaps. So, okay, so this is the article. Again, the profitability of Texas. And the first thing I'll do is kind of point out the takeaway. So the takeaway is that Texas homes are profitable investments, and they have yields exceeding the national average for homes in most metro areas when profitability is measured in terms of average yield. It says average yields in Texas homes exceeded yields for McDonald's Corporation, Home Depot, and Lowe's in the 5-year period between 2009 and 2013. So that's the main takeaway from this article. So what that's saying is that as you have investors out there, especially people that invest in companies, and they're looking for a return on investment, or they're looking for a yield that their money is making, that real estate is not only competitive to a major blue chip organization like McDonald's or Home Depot or Lowe's, they're actually better or superior to those yields. So now if you have a true investor, that's something, this article alone is something that you can use to encourage them, to allow you to help them invest their money in real estate, right? So that's another reason why I love this business so much, is because there's so much opportunity if you're creative enough to capitalize on the multiple opportunities to, I guess, create income, create a career in your craft. So this here is just another one on how you can speak to investors and you be the facilitator of taking their money and using real estate as a vehicle for them to gain a profit. All right, so it goes down and just kind of explains about home as an investment. It goes through the strategy of measuring profitability. So, I mean, I'm not going to go through all of that. I think it's a good read so you can understand what yield is and capitalization rates, which are the terms that investors typically look to is the language of investors. So if you're going to go after that market and you see that as an opportunity, then you have to become well versed in understanding how to speak to them and what their concerns are. Um, I really liked the maps. I mean, I'm sorry, the rankings that they had, because it gave us, the top 25 cities in the state of Texas, and it allowed us to see where Houston lied when it came to the multiple data points that they were looking at. So, like right here, you see Houston ranks number 4 when it came to gross rent dollars. We were number 4 city in the state. So, we pride ourselves on being number 1, but we're not number 1 when it comes to everything all the time. All right, so that just talks about gross rent. Now, these 2 slides deal with um, it talks about the second component of net rental yields, which is the homeowner's cost. So you have the income that it comes in. So you have, the rental amount or whatever the thing's generating, but then you also have a cost associated with that, whether that's your mortgage payment or your taxes, property taxes, insurance, repairs. So when it comes to homeowner costs, um, Houston ranked 3rd. So we ranked 4th when it comes to the income potential, and we ranked 3rd as far as how much it costs to maintain those properties. All right. All right. So then, which made us 11th when it comes to net. So when it comes to the difference between the two, we ranked 11th. And you see, number 1 was Midland, the Midland Odessa area, which is in Texas, and then you see where we rank versus the United States. Okay. So then the article continues to talk about again computing rental rates, and it compares Midland and some of the other cities as far as rental income. Now keep in mind Tierra Grande, which is the article that we're reading, covers the entire state of Texas, not just Houston. So it's kind of like reading your Texas Realtor magazine. Okay, so then it talks about where we rank when it comes to value of homes, median value of homes. Well, you see Houston ranked number 4, right? But I want you to kind of pay attention to a city that keeps kind of popping up there, which is this Midland, Odessa. Keeps popping up. So that may be something to pay attention to as you're dealing with people and you're maybe trying to expand yourself outside of Houston into maybe other areas of the state. That may be something that you might want to keep an eye on. So it said that so when it comes to value or how expensive the homes are, you see Houston ranked number 4. So we're still somewhat affordable, right? But notice how Austin, how much higher Austin is when compared to the second person in the state, which is Dallas. So notice how, so when people talk about the escalated costs when it comes to Austin, we can see that here in these charts that housing in Austin has really increased over these last years or so as far as their appreciated value. Like they are becoming extremely over high cost. Okay, but Houston, we're still hovering there from an affordable scope. Again, we're number 4. All right, so then the final one to me, which is, in my opinion, the most important chart, it talks about the areas ranked by net rental yield. So what that means is the areas when you're looking at owner-occupied properties and renting them out, compared to the value of the home, which ones are the best bang for your buck? Which areas offer the best bang for your buck? All right. So you see number 1 is Odessa, and see Midland is close to Odessa. Midland's number 15 though. But you notice how Odessa is at a 5.3% yield. So if that was a stock, they'll look at a 7-year yield or a 12-month yield, just what that stock has gained from initial to ending over a particular amount of time, they'll look at that yield number. So you see Odessa is a 5.34% yield, which is a very good yield to have compared to the stock market. Um, well, if you look at Houston, you see where Houston is when it comes to that. So the Houston Sugarland area, we're number 22, and then Austin is dead last. Now, why is that? The reason being is because of the cost, the values of the home. So because value or how much you would have to pay for a property has a lot to go into what your yield percent is, you notice how the top metropolitans are towards the bottom of the scope because our housing values are more expensive or a lot higher than some of the smaller areas. So, again, what are the takeaways? Takeaways are, and you got to have something that's comparative to know or have something that's relative to see if it's 5.34%. How does that compare? What's that relative to? So again, we talked about McDonald's, Home Depot, and Lowe's. Well, McDonald's Corporation, again, which is a blue chip, but their 5-year average dividend, which is something that if you're going to go to a stockbroker or Edward Jones or Merrill Lynch, and you're considering investing in the stock, in their prospectus, they're going to show you what their 5-year average dividend yield is. And for McDonald's, they would show you 3.3%. That's their yield. For Home Depot, they would show you 2.2%. And for Lowe's, they would show you 1.7%. So I can either take my money and invest in McDonald's and based on their dividend yield me 3.3% over a 5-year period, or I can invest in Odessa, Texas and yield me a 5.34%. So, you could again say the same thing about Houston. So yeah, McDonald's is better than Houston, but the other two companies are not. So that's a conversation that you're having with a seasoned or professional investor that has money and they're looking to get a return. Well, looking at this article, putting together a package and offering your real estate to an investor in such a way to where they see the benefit of purchasing a home, renting it out, and then gaining return on investment and allowing you to be the manager or the facilitator to do that, just like a mutual fund or something. It makes for a great opportunity for you as a professional. So I thought this was a great article. When you go to the folder for today's talk, it'll be a link to the article is in there. So you can just click on it and at your leisure, take a look at it, read it. But I thought it was very good, and as an opportunity to, number one, if you have some money and you want to invest, gives you a snapshot of how all the cities in the state of Texas line up. But it also gives you great information for you to provide to a client that's looking to invest in Texas. And you being the person to being the steward of that transaction for them. I mean, because think about it. There's a couple of ways that you can be involved in a transaction like that. So you're involved in the purchase side of it, so you help them buy it, get 3% commission. You rent it out, right? So you get that 1 month's commission, and then you manage it, so then you get the monthly income. So those are 3 different income streams that you could, three different income potential that you can have off of one transaction, if you get the right client and you present it the right way. So I want to share that with you all today. Okay, again, at your leisure, take a look at the article, and if you have comments or anything you want to talk about it, let me know. Reach out to me. We can talk about it. All right, so let's recap. We're finna begin our discussion again about what are the things that you need to be doing over these next 60 days, right? It's the final race, final lap. Go for the goal, right? And the reason again that I'm saying that is because the market slows down the last quarter. So you have got to build up, momentum. You have to build up, plug as much as you can in your pipeline to carry you over into the new year because things slow down. So you want to push it hard. You want to work as hard as you've ever worked in your life over these next 60 days. All right. So what are some of the things that we talked about last week? So we talked about All right, so we talked about you getting intense, right? We talked about you getting intense. We talked about you, getting your mind right. Like a NFL football player, or again, I'll use the Olympics. If you're an Olympic swimmer, like Michael Phelps, who's getting back into it, so it's going to be surprising on how he performs. But if you're an Olympic swimmer, then notice how one thing that I've always noticed is that when they're preparing, whether that's to run or swim or dive, they have their headphones in their ears and they're focused, like they're listening to some music, they're getting their mind together, right? They're building the intensity to go out there and perform. So that's what you need to do. All right, the second one is set a goal and a prize, right? So, how much production do you want to plug in? Each, over this 60-day period, set you a production goal of how much initial appointment production do I want to have done, and how much. Well, no, I wouldn't even do that. I would solely base it on how much production have I added to the production board. Like, how many properties have I gotten under contract? How many listings have I gotten under? Not listing agreements, I mean contract. Gotten them sold, got a buyer, they signed off on the contract, it's at the title company. How much of that have I done in the next 60 days? And that's what I would base the goal off of. And do you want $1 million worth? Do you want $500,000 worth of that? Do you want $1 million worth of that? Do you want $2 million worth of that? Like, you set you a goal of how much, contractual production that I've added, that I'm going to add to the board over the next 60 days. Now, yeah, again, a lot of that has to do with what are those lead indicators? What are those front end activities that you're doing? The lead generation, the lead follow-up, that kind of stuff. But set you a goal. Last time we spoke, and I said that any full-time agent, and that's my goal. If you don't have a goal, I'm gonna set one for you. Just use my goal. Any full-time agent should be doing at least 100 contacts a week and $300,000 worth of initial appointment meetings, initial appointment production meetings, meaning butts and seats, getting in front of people and meeting with them that are looking to buy a house, that are looking to sell a house, whether they hire you or not, whether they sign a listing agreement or a buyer's agreement or not. The fact that you've sat down with them, you've got them to set an appointment and a meeting with you, you should be doing at least $300,000 worth of that kind of production and those kind of meetings per week if you're a full-time agent. And if you're not doing that, if you're not making 100 contacts and you're not doing at least $300,000 worth of initial appointment production, then I don't know what you're doing with your time, because there's a lot of hours, especially a lot of workable hours that happen in a week. So if whatever you're doing, and if you're spending that time and you're spending those hours and it's not leading you to, and the results, and you're not getting to the results of at least 100 contacts and $300,000 worth of initial production meetings or appointments, then whatever you're doing and however you're staying busy, you're wasting your time. And you need to make an adjustment. You really do. Okay, so set a goal and a prize. Remember I told you my prize is going to be Texans tickets. I've never been to the Texans game. So, if I reach the goal, or as a company, if we reach the goal that I believe that we can reach over the next 60 days, as far as production being added to the board, then I'm going to, buy me some Texans tickets, and I'm going to go to a Texans game. So, I'm really going to be helping, encourage, and motivating you guys to get me some production on the board. If you got questions, you need help, you're running situations, look, we're here. And I'm going to be pushing the corporate team as well. So set your goals, get your prize. All right, create and utilize your tools. So we went through the tools. We talked about, the hot board. And, man, that hot board has been, I'm telling you, man, ever since we've instituted that hot board, we've been getting more things and more people to hire us than ever before. Just last week, we put together 4 new listings. I mean 4 new listing agreements. With the agreement, as well as 2 new buyer clients that signed paperwork. So actually three buyer clients signed paperwork, and that's in a span of 7 days. And the reason that we've been able to do that because the last month or so we've been working this hot board and we've been pushing stuff through the pipeline and getting people to make decisions, and a lot of it just all materialized last week. So that hot board is solid. Again, we talked about the initial production appointments. We just use a thermometer as a way to measure that stuff. But you got to be doing it at least 300,000 a week. All right, and then we talked about our buyers board, our listing board, buyers board. Listing board where your listings go, buyers board where your buyers go. And again, the monster is this pending board. That's the board that matters. I'm sorry, the pending board is in the middle. So the monster is that pending board. That's the one that matters. Getting those people under contract, going to trend, from contract to close. That's what you should be measuring. That's what you should be looking at. So we talked about that stuff. All right, we talked about the platinum services, right? So your blogging, your client experience rating, your mobile app, your virtual websites. Those are the things over these next 60 days that you should be working to get lined up and ready to go, so you can begin to leverage and market that to people. Okay. So today, we're going to be talking about lead generation, follow up, and going on appointments. Now, you can't even get to number 4 if you haven't done the first 3. This really should be in order of importance of what you should be focusing on. So if you haven't gotten intense, got your mind right, then you're not gonna put together your body is only gonna do what your mind tells it to do. So if your mind isn't right, then your body's not gonna move according to how it needs to move for you to be successful over this time. So if your mind's not right, and then you're not setting a goal or having a prize, then you're not going to have what you need to stay focused on the activities that you need to be doing on a daily, day by day, day. So if your mind's not right, your goal's not there, your prize is not there, the way you can look at it. It's like having a carrot in front of the donkey to make it walk. If you don't have that carrot in front of you, then you're not going to do it. That motivation. All right, and if you haven't created your tools, and if they're not in such a position where you can use them to keep track, all right, then the lead generation, follow up, and the going on appointments, which is the lion's share, is not going to get done. So you're not going to lead generate. You're not going to follow up on the leads with the level of intensity that you need. You're not going to go on appointments, and you're not going to be having those $300,000 worth of appointments per week. You're not going to have any of that stuff if you don't do the top 3. Okay. So when we're talking lead generation, what does that look like? Like when we say lead generation, and again, I have a video that talks about this. All right, it's time to go fishing, part 1 and part 2. So I think this may be a great time for you to revisit those videos that talks about lead generation. That's in your 7-dot training folders, in your Create Your New Life folders. Well, start with your cell phone. Start with your email. Start with your social media contacts. You need to get all of those people, and they better be in your CRM, in your database. Like if you don't have your CRM set up, that's why the CRM is so important. Because if you don't have it in an organized manner, then you're not positioning yourself to market to them. Right. So you gotta start with your phone, like something as simple as the contacts that are in your phone, and you should have spoken to everybody that's in your phone at least within the last 30 days. And I don't mean just have spoken to them like, hey, how you doing, what's going on. I'm saying you should have at least asked every single person in your phone within the last 30 days, who do they know that's looking to buy a house, sell a house, or invest in real estate? You at least should have made the ask to at least everybody, every contact that's in your phone. In the last 30 days, you should have had that statement. And if you haven't, you better do it before the next 30 days ends. So we start there when it comes to lead generation. Start at that very easy point. Okay. The second thing, now, you need to pull them out of your phone. Like, you need to pull those contacts out of your phone, and you need to put them in your CRM so you can begin creating your database. You need to go to your social media, and you need to, same thing. I know Mr. Brooks sent once before the verbiage that we use when marketing on social media, and it's a similar script, and you're just sending it out to your social media contacts, and you're direct messaging them. So you're not sending one post to all of your friends. You're going to each individual friend, and you're asking them, hey, I'm in real estate, just wanted to reach out to you. Who do you know that's looking to buy a house, sell a house, or invest in real estate? I mean, you can even tell them, say, hey, look, I'm closing out my third quarter, and my broker is challenging us to increase our production over these next 60 days. So I need help with that. Who do you know that's looking to buy a house, sell a house, or invest in real estate that I can call that can help me reach my goals that I've set for these next 60 days? I mean, if they're your friend, they're your colleague, they're your associate, they're going to want to help you out. People like helping people out. So, you should be direct messaging the people that you have on Facebook with that script. You need to be direct messaging the people that you have on LinkedIn with that script. And you also need to be pulling those people out and adding them to your database, right? You should be cross-referencing, because if you have everybody that's in your cell phone, you should know their Facebook page, you should know their LinkedIn page, you should know their Instagram, you should know you should have all of that in a single place, all that information for those people, especially the people that you have in your phone. And then all the people that you have in Facebook or LinkedIn, well, you need to somehow try to get their cell phone numbers, right? Like, you want to have all the information for everybody. That's how you build a database. Woo, excuse me. That's how you build a database. That's what a database looks like. So again, I'm gonna say it again. Everybody that's in your phone, you should have their Facebook, and that's the easy part, because that's just a matter of taking their name and putting it in Facebook and finding out their Facebook page, and then taking that and adding the Facebook page link to your database, and then ask them to be your friend. So send them a friend request. So now they can see what you're doing as you post on a consistent basis. You're building your audience. You're building your platform. So everybody in your phone get their social media tags. But in the reverse of that is that everybody that's a part of your social media, you figure out a way to get their phone number. I mean, you can directly ask for it in your spiel that you send to them, or as you're engaging with them, you just get it. Like, what I'm talking about as we're building this thing, we're not talking about it happening overnight. It does take time, and it does happen within as you're engaging with them, it's a process. So you ask for it over time, you get it over time. So we're talking about, social media, how you do that. All right, we have lead generation, lead follow-up. We have the opportunities for the office every Tuesday and Thursday, where you can come into the office. Now, most companies, they'll have it, they call it office time or phone time, where they have you come in and you just sit at a desk and you wait for the phone to ring. And while you're sitting at a desk waiting for the phone to ring, you start doing some other stuff. You start doing some administration work or whatever that you have. But remember, that stuff doesn't make money. So the way our office time is set up, and when you come in here, and I'm going to encourage you to, while you're waiting on that phone to ring, begin calling people on the different prospecting databases that we have set up, right? Pull up an old lead tracker, maybe a year, 6 months out or a year out, and begin going through it. Pull up an old lead tracker 2 years out, right? And then start combing through it and start calling and making phone calls on that lead tracker while you're waiting on people to call. One of our agents came in on a Tuesday or Thursday, and she's extremely faithful with it. And she did exactly what I'm telling you to do. She went back to one of our old lead trackers, and was calling people on it, and she ended up pulling an individual out of Dallas that had purchased some property here in Houston, and they're going to build four. We were looking at the numbers yesterday, so these are probably going to end up being 350,000 plus single-family patio homes in an area in Midtown. She's looking to do a development that's going to break ground in the next 30 to 45 days, and we got engaged with that person simply off her coming into the office and calling our past year's lead trackers. So I'm saying this stuff, but it works, right? I'm telling you stuff that I know works. So I'm not just speaking from a standpoint of I'm guessing. Like, I'm not guessing at this stuff. I'm telling you things that if I wasn't charged or responsible for running the company, these are things, if I was an agent today, these are the things that I will be doing. And so you need to come in and take advantage of these opportunities, especially during this next 60-day window. So you have that opportunity. All you have to do is call into the office, this number behind me, schedule a time with April, the day and the time that you want to come in, and take advantage of the databases that we have, the lead tracker, the for sale by owner database. We have the new home builder database that we pulled. So we got plenty of people that you can call, the probate opportunity database. Like, we got plenty of people you can call. All right, so we got that. And then the final one, because there's so many more when it comes to lead generation. And again, you can look at that time to go fishing video that I did. But you got the for sale by owners on Zillow, right? That's another opportunity for you. I mean, Zillow makes it so easy for you to get for sale by owners, and they're putting their own information in there. So Zillow has created this beautiful platform that makes it so much easier for you to compile for sale by owners information. Like, you have people out there that are paying companies like Redfin, like just other companies. I'm not Redfin, RedX, and just Boomtown, just all these other different companies and all they're doing is that they're going and they're pulling the contact information for sale by owners and expired listings, and people are paying $80, $90, $100, $150, $200 a month just for access to that information, when you can go to Zillow and get it for free now. So at this point, it's just a matter of being strategic on how you connect and you reach out to them. So, again, we have a program or process when it comes to following up with the for sale by owners. You can use our program that we use called Dating the For Sale by Owner. We got the seller workshop. That was a prime opportunity to reach out to the for sale by owners. Most people are afraid of for sale by owners because they're so standoffish, and they are standoffish because they've had all these people reach out to them and try to ask them to list. So prepare yourself for that when you get on the phone with them, but overcome that with being able to provide the for sale by owner with some level of value. So if you're providing them with value, it may take you the fourth or fifth call before they open up enough to listen to the value that you have to offer. But make sure you have something of value. You're not just calling them to list their house. That's not going to work anymore these days. So then we have networking. That's a part of lead generation. I did a video about networking where it says, did you know that networking is a noun? And we went through what networking really looks like. It's not you just going to an event and showing up and standing on the wall, nor is it you going to an event and just passing out a bunch of your business cards without having a level of conversation with the people that you're handing them to, or taking a stack of cards and placing them on the table. That's not networking. Networking is a noun. It's an activity. It's something that happens, and you have to participate in that activity. So you go to an event, network is happening whether you participate in it or not. So networking is a noun. and you got to participate in that network. And Houston has opportunities to network all the time, whether that's through meetups, you can do that through networking. You have the league groups that Mr. Brooks, and he encourages you all to attend once a week on his behalf. He's already paid for it, so you just got to go. So that's an opportunity for networking. Or different organizations like the Houston Black Real Estate Association. I'm a board member of that. I encourage all of you all to become a member of that organization. There's great networking that takes place. Matter of fact, just today before the training today, I'm a part of the Braes Oaks Management District, and we had a meeting. And after the meeting, there's some networking that took place, and I was able to get the insight on a development happening in Third Ward that we may can be a part of. And it was through the exchange of information, the exchange of dialogue, the exchange of value proposition. So that's what networking looks like. And there's opportunities for it through HAR, the list goes on and on. It's just a matter of you being intense, having your goal and your prize set up, and you making a decision to take advantage of it and do it. Thank you cards. That's another one. Whenever you meet with somebody, send a thank you card out to them. That's another great way to generate leads, because in your thank you card, you want to put in there the little verbiage around who do you know. All you're doing is that you're getting people to think of if they know somebody. Everybody knows somebody. It's just a matter of if they're going to take the time to think of who that person is and give it to you. But everybody knows. It's about a matter of them putting in the effort. Well, if you ask them over the phone through networking and see that you're hustling through a thank you card, the law of reciprocation comes in where, hey, they've done something for me. This was so considerate. They sent me a written thank you card. I think I do know somebody that may need their services. It's just that simple. So thank you cards work. So set you a goal to do maybe 5 or 10 thank you cards a week. If you're a full-time agent, you should be doing 10 thank you cards from your activities, because again, if you've made those contacts, if you've had those appointments, if you've done networking, then you have more than enough people to send a thank you card to for that week. So those people will be there if the activities are there. And visit builder communities. That's another one. So the next thing you should be doing is we go from lead generation, follow-up, and going on appointments to drive your transactions like a cowboy. All right. Now, when I say drive your transactions like a cowboy, what I'm doing is I'm revisiting the talk that we had about the 9 evil bosses, right? So, the 9 evil bosses here, let me put the slide up. Remember, we talked about those things that can hold up or hinder your transaction. And we talked about how I always spoke about real estate being a people's business. Now, it's not about properties, it's about people. And that's right. But I would always speak from a standpoint of the consumer base, the customer base. Well, now I'm speaking from a standpoint of your colleague base, right? And even if you go back to our core values, and one of our core values is to exceed the expectations of our clients, our customers, and our colleagues. So it really is a people business. Well, I never put as much onus on the colleague portion of that value as I did when it came to these 9 evil bosses, because the 9 evil bosses include your clients and your colleagues. So you have the buyer, you have the seller, the buyer's agent, the seller's agent, the loan processor, the loan underwriter, the escrow officer's underwriter, the inspector, the appraiser, the lien holders. So I think per my last math, it's about 11 people that's a part of any single real estate transaction that can kill the deal. So when I come back and I say you need to be driving your business like a cowboy, what I'm saying is that before we're in Texas, so we get a lot of reference made to cowboys and that kind of thing. Well, before they had fences everywhere, cowboys would drive the cattle where they needed it to go. Like before, there were trains and other methods of shipping. You know, they would ship the cattle to where it needed to go. They would drive it, right? They would give direction to it. They would ensure that whatever direction that this massive group of cattle needed to go, the cowboy is the one that made sure they went in that direction. And if there was ever one of them getting out of line, if they were, you know, getting in a position to where they were motivating some of the other cattle to get out of line, what would that cowboy do? He'd ride his horse right on the side of him, and he'd, make some cowboy noise like get out, or something to it to get it back in line, to show it that this is the direction that you're going, this is where we're getting to, and this is where we're going to be moving until we get there. So that's what I'm saying when you're dealing with these non-evil bosses. Like, especially these next 60 days, because you got to drive the transaction to get the money in your bank account. It's not like the cash is not in your account until you get through the transactional aspect of things. Now, you've done the hard work and you've got everybody to make the decision. They've made the decision to meet with you. They made the decision to hire you. They made the decision to buy or sell whatever particular property to whatever person. So they made the three major decisions. Now you just got to get through the transaction before you actually get paid, and you got to drive it. So whether that's you waiting on the seller to sign a document, then you call that seller. You waiting on the buyer's agent to submit something. You waiting on the loan officer to do something. You waiting on the title company. Like, you're gonna have to walk the transaction to every single aspect until you get to the closing table. And that takes me to the next point. When it comes to driving your business like a cowboy, you're gonna have to deal with any cogs that's in the line. Any cogs. You need to view it like a assembly line. So, like, if you think of an assembly line, maybe at like a bottling company or something like that, one cog, one snag in the line can mess up the process all the way back until somebody catches it. One miscue, it can stop the line, it can stop production, it can stop the opportunity for money to be made. So you have to be the cog killer. You have to identify all the snags and get rid of them. But what does that look like? That takes me to an illustration, and I don't remember what book I got this out of, but it made mention of when, again, back in the old times, I always reference history. I like history. They used to, when they were doing the timber industry, they would use the rivers to transport the logs. They would transport it downstream. So all they would do is that they would cut the wood, then they would put it in the river, and the river would take it downstream where they could package it, and then they could move it, whether by train or by truck or by horse carriage or whatever. They could move the wood, the logs, to where they needed them to go. Well, not all rivers are straight. They have twists, they have turns. So every now and again, if you're dealing with a log, you can imagine that a log may hit that turn wrong, and then it'll get caught. And then if it get caught in the river, then any other logs that come by, they're not going to be able to pass, and it gets clogged up. So now the river's all clogged up with these logs. Well, how they used to deal with that scenario is that they would put some dynamite around where the cog was, and they would blow it up. And then they would, sacrifice whatever wood that was there, but it would open it up, and then that's a way for them to get the wood to get flowing again. So what you got to do is that as you're walking that transaction from the buyer, if you're representing the seller, whatever party is the cog, whatever party is impeding the flow of the logs down the river when it comes to this transaction, you got to be the dynamite. You got to be the one to jump in there, and you got to be the one to, hey, if it's a matter of making a phone call, If it's a matter of making a phone call every single day, there's transactions now that I'm working on, and I'm going to call you every day. And I'm going to tell you I'm going to call you every day until you give me what I need to get to the next step. And there is no shame. There is no shame about it at all. Because if I don't care about my money, nobody's going to care about it. I care about my being able to feed my family. I care about being able to take my family on trips. I care about being able to do nice things for my wife. I care about doing nice things for myself. I care about not having the anxieties and the worries of if I'm going to have enough money to pay whatever bill comes in. I care about that stuff. So because I care about that stuff, it comes out in how I drive my transactions to the closing table, right? So yeah, whatever the person, whether that's the loan officer holding up the process, whether that's the title company holding up and I'll say the closing, whether that's the appraiser holding up the closing because we're waiting on the appraisal report, the inspector holding up the closing, whoever's holding it up, that's the person that I'm going to be calling. I'm the dynamite to get the thing back flowing, right? So you have got to be that, especially these next 60 days, because if everything completely dries up the last quarter, you better have some cash reserves to carry you into the new year when things begin to pick up. So the only way that you can do that is to get as much as you can through the transactional stage of things so you can have that cash, that liquid cash accessible for you to do what you want to do or what you need to do with it. So it's imperative that you do that. So the last part, and then we'll be done, is never give up. So now we've gone through all this for these last 60 days. You've gotten your mind right. You've gotten intense. You set your goal and your prize. Your tools and everything is set up. You've created them. They're ready to be used. And every day now you're lead generating. You're following up. You're going on appointments. The stuff that you have in your pipeline, you're driving it like a cowboy, getting it to the closing table. So you're doing all of this stuff. And even with you doing all this stuff, there's still going to be times and moments that you get frustrated, that things don't work out, that it begins to get difficult, it gets tough, you get discouraged, deals bust out, just all kind of things. They'll happen. Well, when those times happen, you can't give up. And I got this NGU. I actually got this from Winston Churchill. So Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister of Britain during World War II. And I actually read a couple of his biographies. And, I like powerful men. So I read his biography, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller. Like, I'm into those kind of cats because they're big personalities. They did big things. So Winston Churchill talks about, after the war was over and he did his memoirs and, he was he was the Prime Minister of Britain and he really carried that country through what was happening during that war. And that was a 9-year war. Well, after it was all done and he would go speak to colleges and, I think he went to speak at Cambridge. And during the graduation speak, he was the graduation speaker for one of their classes. They asked him, or maybe it was even an interview, but they asked him to speak about, if you had anything to tell these students, what would you say? And he said NGU. He said, never give up, never give up, never give up. And then he walked off the stage. Now, look, I don't know how true this was, but, the concept was powerful. Never give up. Now, he's talking to graduates, like they graduated from college. They're about to go into the workforce. His nugget: never give up, never give up, never give up. And you can see that through his life and how he handled things with the World War. And it's the same thing that I say to you guys: is that never give up. No matter how bad it looks, no matter how challenging the transaction is, no matter what situation arises, and it seems as if, oh man, this is killing it. This is going to kill the deal. No matter what conversation you have, no matter what person you talk to, no matter what, never give up. Always look for the solution in the whether that's the transaction, whether that's your business, whether that's anything. Always look for the solution. Forget about the problem. This industry, this that you're in, these transactions that you're going to be working on, they're going to be inundated with problems. Take my word for that, right? The one that makes the money in this business is the one that is not stopped by the problems that arise. Is not stopped by the challenges that present themselves. See, the person that makes money and is successful in this business is the person that is able to take the problems and the challenges and learn from them to such a point to where when that problem and challenges happens again, they're able to capitalize off of it now. Let me say that again. The person that is successful in this business is the individual that is able to take the problems and the challenges that arise of this business and doesn't let it stop them. They learn from it so that when that problem or challenge presents itself again, they'll be able to capitalize, not just make it past it. They'll be able to capitalize off of that problem happening again, right? I'll use short sales as an example. Short sales, when the market bottomed out in 2007, not only I didn't choose short sales, I just kind of fell into short sales because there was no other opportunities. And I wasn't good at short sales. There's a number of people whose homes got foreclosed on because at the time I didn't know what I was doing and I was trying to catch up to it. But what I could tell you is that every time I put in a lot of work on a particular transaction, and when I say put in a lot of work, we're talking months, sometimes years. There was one transaction I was working on for 2 years, and it busted out and ended up getting foreclosed on. So that's 2 years of time, of effort, of anticipation, of stress, anxiety. 2 years that you can't get back, and you're not gonna get paid off of it. Now, but the one thing about short sales, every single time that situation happened, I was able to learn from it. And now, when working short sales, and people still don't want to do short sales, but I do short sales. And not only do I do them, I'm able to see them for the opportunities that they are, to the point of, yeah, make commissions, but also make, additional monies from, connecting with investors and things like that, and realizing that level of profit potential through short sales, through something that, at one time was very, very disheartening, moments when dealing with short sales that were tough. But now, taking those opportunities and being able to capitalize from them. Well, the only reason I was able to do that was because I never gave up during the tough times. Well, what is it that you need? Like, what allows a person to be able to handle that stuff? Well, it's all about what you take in, right? It's about what you're looking at on a daily basis. What are you listening to, right? What are you reading, right? Not about what you're speaking, because you only speak what you have on the inside of you. So it's about what are the things that you're putting on the inside of you. So during these next 60 days, as you're putting in all this effort and this energy, as you're lining things up, and then still things happen, things don't work out, how do you keep moving? How do you keep your intensity high? How do you keep pushing forward to the goal? You got to stay filled with inspiration and motivation. You got to be reading books. You got to be listening to CDs, motivational CDs. You got to be watching motivational videos. For me, church really helps me out. My spirit man really helps me maintain through those difficult times. You got to be, going to workshops. Like, you got to be constantly filling yourself up with those things, because when the hard times hit, you better have something solid on the inside of you for you to stand. Basketball Wives is not solid for you to stand, right? Real Housewives, right? Empire, these things, BET, the local news, right? These things are not solid to where when those tough times hit, when you're going to need to tap into something real deep on the inside of you that you're going to need to grab a hold to push you to the next phase, the next level through a transaction or through your business or through your life, those things aren't solid enough to give you what you need to push you past it. So you have to be intentional. You have to be intentional about what you listen to. What kind of music are you listening to? You know, what do you listen to on the radio or Sirius or Pandora? What kind of songs or music are you listening to, right? What messages is coming out of that stuff, right? And I'm not saying you just completely stop listening to things. Okay, so look, I'll use 97.9 The Box. I'll use rap music. I'll use some of those messages about rappers. Now, I like beats. I like really nice beats. Well, you know, a song may have a really nice beat, but the message really is bad, like really horribly bad, but I like the beat. So I'll listen to it. But what I do is that I'm conscious of how much of that I'm listening to. I'm conscious of, am I listening to that stuff with my kids in the car? Like, I'm conscious of it. And that's all I'm saying. Be conscious of what you're listening to, what you're looking at. Yeah, I look at Empire, right? I don't look at Housewives. I don't look at that other stuff. But there are things that I look at that I probably shouldn't be looking at, but I'm conscious of it. And I make sure that I more than mitigate that with the other things that I listen to, the other books that I read, the other things that I watch. I do so much more of that than the negative part of it, that it'll balance out in the end. So what I'm saying is to just be conscious of what you feed yourself, because that's what's going to afford you the opportunity to never give up, right? So I'll just put this on the screen one last time before we wrap up, is that, you know, these are the things that you should be doing over the next 60 days, right? Starting today. You should be, your 60 days started August 1st, okay? And these are the things that you need to be doing. You need to get intense, set your goal, your prize. You know, all of this is what you need to be doing. And if you do it, I'm banking on you, because I know all 36 of y'all. And I'm banking. If you listen to the advice that I'm giving, the recommendation, you look at these videos, you put these things in play, then you're going to do extremely well going into the last quarter and going into the beginning of the year. You're going to do extremely, extremely, extremely well. And I believe in you, because I know you have what it takes to get it done. But this is it. You got to put in the effort. I can give you the direction, the advice. I can give you the experience, the recommendations. I can give you all of that. And I'm willing to give you all of that. It's fulfilling to me. But I can't put the effort in there. I can't give you the effort, right? That's all you. That's all you, and that's all on the choices that you make. So that's all you. So I went over a little bit because I wanted to finish this out, you know, today. But does anybody have anything, any coaching, any questions, any comments, just anything, you know, before we end our time today? Does anybody have anything? Okay. Well, look, again, it's always a joy. Oh, got something? Somebody got something? Kim, you was about to say something? No? Okay. Well, look, it's always a pleasure. It's always a joy spending time with you guys. If you have anything, please let me know.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Great, great. Sorry about that. I had a little bit of technical difficulty. Just wanted to thank you for your commitment, for showing up every week, not just showing up, but being prepared, for your motivation, your insights. It's excellent, and thank you.
No, thank you, Kim. I appreciate those kind words. Thank you for saying that. And we're gonna keep cranking it out every week. The advice is there, the information is there. You guys stay empowered up, and you keep hitting it every day, every week, and you will extremely be successful, and you will create that new life that I know each and every one of you, that's the reason you got into this business. So you are going to accomplish that. Okay, with that being said, you guys have a great week. It's a beautiful day outside today. Enjoy it. Work hard. Make some money. And God willing, we'll see you on next week. I'll talk to you then. Have a great one.